Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy, and you're reading with Jimmy. This is a 10-minute breakdown of a very complex book called The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli, subtitled Power, Fear, and the Art of Ruling Ruthlessly. We're going to try to break this very complex book, very hard to read, but very well worth it in 10 minutes. Let's go. Welcome, everybody. What if I told you, what if I told you that being a good leader might not mean being a nice leader? Nice guys finish last. This used to be a saying when Jimmy was a kid, right? The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli is a political handbook. It points out that morality, yes, ladies and gentlemen, is optional when it comes to power. Or does it do that? People say it does that, but when we read it together, I'm going to challenge you and ask you if that's true. Is Machiavelli a genius strategist, or is he just cold and ruthless? Well, you're going to have to figure that out when we read it together. So, welcome to my 10-minute breakdown of a very comprehensive book called The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli. Let's go. So, what's the story? Well, it's the early 1500s in Italy. Politics is a bloody game. There's wars, there's betrayals, there's shifting alliances. All the times these families are fighting and killing each other and allying themselves. It's a mess if you read about Renaissance Italy. And so Machiavelli, who's a former diplomat, he writes this book called The Prince. He wants to guide his boss, Lorenzo de' Medici, that's the ruler. He wants to tell him on how to be a good prince, on how to gain and maintain power. Ladies and gentlemen, The Prince is about power. That's what we're going to be analyzing when we read it together. Machiavelli uses many, many historical references to prove the points that he's making to Lorenzo. And by the way, Lorenzo never read the book. Too bad, because Niccolò Machiavelli actually died and Lorenzo never got the message, so you can read what happens. In any case, the book survived, thank goodness. So what's this book about? Well, unlike earlier political philosophy books, this focused on power. Power is the key. How do you maintain it? How do you not lose it? How do you gain it? It's all about power and nothing but. So morality, if that's the objective, becomes just a tool, not the rule. You understand that? This is going to be difficult, but you'll get it. So a ruler's job is to win and stay in control. That's what he's trying to tell Lorenzo. It's about winning and staying in power. But the book is all about protecting and maintaining the state for a prince. It's not about you or me. It's about a prince, a ruler of a state. That's what you had, these states fighting each other. So his end justifies the means. You probably heard that. The end justifies the means. It's a statement. It's really not about everything. It's about maintaining power in the state. It's not a brushstroke for everything. It's what a prince needs to govern the state. Let's continue this 10-minute thing. So some of the key takeaways that you're going to get when you read it with Jimmy is that it's better to be feared than loved. But don't be feared so much that you become hated. There's a delicate balance, right? That's true in any relationship. I've been married a long time. It's true, right? You don't want to be feared than loved, but you want to be loved and not I don't know. We don't want to get into that. People are unreliable. I read a Wall Street Journal article recently about a guy who wrote a book on decisions, and one of his famous discoveries was that people are not rational. And when I read that, and I never read the book, I said, "Are you kidding me? Who would think that people are rational except an idiot, right?" But this guy made a fortune saying that people are not rational. I should have came to Jimmy. So fear keeps people obedient. Cruelty must be calculated so they don't turn on you. There's a balance. You see? Well, Jimmy, come on. We want to be in a beautiful society. We want to love each other. We'll go, you know what? That doesn't exist. It never did. Look at your history. This is a very powerful book, mostly misunderstood when you read it with me. So the end justifies the means. You heard that. I can do anything as long as, right? The end justifies the means. If I'm going to do good, I can do anything, right? No. That's not what he's talking about. If lying, cheating, or violence keeps you in power, do it. That's what he's saying, keeps you in power for the state. Is that true? Well, if power is your objective and ruling is your objective, it is. But if you want to be a nice, if you want to be a good human being, it's not true. Everything depends on your objective. And remember, he's writing this to Lorenzo, who never read it. People remember results, not methods, right? They don't care how you did it sometimes. They just want to see the result. Give me the bottom line. Fortune favors the bold. This is true. If you wait too long, you lose your opportunity. So a prince should not rely on luck or fate. Don't rely on luck. Take actions before others do. So this is going to come out when you read this book with me. Be like a fox and a lion. Be a fox to outsmart your enemies and be a lion to crush your opposition. You have to be bold sometimes. If you've ever I was disciplined as a child. I know it, it hurt my mother to hit me, but that's what happens when I got an unruly child like Jimmy, right? And I'm a better person for it. Smart rulers use both. My mother loved me very much. The impact. The Prince was banned by the church for being too cynical and ruthless, but it became one of the most influential political books ever written. So what's the big deal? Well, he wasn't just giving Lorenzo advice. He was making a statement and giving instructions to his ruler, telling him how to maintain power, telling all of us to understand what power is. You have power, I have power, we all have power. You can move your hand. If you can't move your hand, you don't have power. You understand? So politics is not about morality. It's not the same thing. Good rulers are not saints. They're survivors. How can you say that, Jimmy? Study history. Study history. Read this book with me. Idealism is dangerous. Oh, I want everything to be beautiful. It's not like that. The world is not fair. Have you figured that out yet, ladies and gentlemen? So leaders shouldn't pretend it is. Authenticity is what they're talking about, right? Fear, deception, and strategy are better for rulers than kindness. Yes. Well, what about a love relationship? Of course not, right? You want to be kind. But if you're going to rule, if you're going to bring people and you're a ruler and you got any kind of authority, fear, deception, and strategy are more important. Just think of The Art of War, which, by the way, Machiavelli did not read, but we're going to read it on this website. Was he a realist or is he just ruthless about power? Think about these themes. Power over morality. A leader must do what works, not what's right. I remember my parents telling me, this is going to hurt me worse than it hurts you. There's a nickel off your allowance. And I would cry. See, sometimes you can't be nice, right? Sometimes you can't be nice. You can't, if you're being threatened, how do you be nice if you're threatened? Can we talk about this while somebody's holding a stick over your head? Human nature, pardon me, is weak. People are, you think? If I said people are unselfish and they remember and not easily controlled, he's saying people are selfish, forgetful, and easily controlled, unless you think for yourself. The whole idea of reading with Jimmy is to help you think for yourself and know when you're being manipulated and knowing when you're manipulating. Stability is everything. Chaos is the greatest enemy of any ruler. Chaos, right? Anarchy. We don't want that if you're going to maintain order. So he's trying to teach Lorenzo how to be a good leader. He teaches us not only how to be good, but how to be effective. So why does this matter today? Why the heck should we care about a 500-year-old book on power? Well, I'll give you 4 reasons. Because the world hasn't changed that much. Leaders still use this guy's tactics, manipulating, fear, deception to control public opinion. Look what happened during COVID. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about what we now know about the COVID pandemic and all the destruction it caused. Think about that. That's what we're talking about. Machiavelli is still an insult. People, oh, they read his ideas are controversial, right? And his name became words for ruthless cunning, but it's not. Read this book with me. And we still debate ethics and results. Is it okay to bend the rules if it gets the job done? Or does power always corrupt? I want you to think about these things. Machiavelli was way ahead of his time, way ahead of his time. He predicted that modern rulers would care more about their image than morality. Does that sound familiar? Huh? He didn't create corruption. He just showed us how the world really works. And there you have it. Calling all readers. That's The Prince in 10 minutes. But why not go deeper and read it with me? My website, if you're reading this 10-minute, is on readingwithjimmy.com. You can watch my deep tube analysis on YouTube. And I'm going to read and analyze every move, every strategy, and every timeless lesson, and I'm going to bring it to you with gusto. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Would you rather be feared or would you rather be loved? Part of the answer is it depends what you're talking about, Jimmy. Right? Right? Or not. I don't know. We're going to have to read this together. If you need something else broken down, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. This was 10 minutes on The Prince. Here it is before you leave. When you go to my website, it's divided into 8 parts, ranging between 35 minutes and a little over an hour for each part. This is a long book, but well worth it. And then there's a 2-part analysis, each about 1 hour. And the analysis is maybe worth it, maybe not. But I think it's worth it because you're going to need an interpretation of this. And now signing off for Jimmy, is Jimmy. And this was The Prince in 10 minutes. And remember, it's really not, means to an end. You got to be careful of what you're doing. And if you read this book with me, you'll be one of the few who does anymore. It's unfortunate, but people just don't read this guy. They quote him a lot. Well, the end justifies the means, which is not true. So don't be quoting and spouting off unless you read this book with me. That's an order. No, I'm kidding. I hope you enjoy it. The QR code takes you right to my YouTube. Bye.